Alright, so these are our taste diagrams, or our tongue diagram here. And as you can see, we actually have actually a lot going on here for something that's kind of simple. Let's see if I can make that a little bit bigger. There we go, that's better. Okay, so on the tongue itself, we have several different areas. We're all familiar with these main four tastes. We have sweet, that tends to be down near the tip. Then on the sides here, we have salty. Back on the sides is our sour. And then right back here at the very base of our tongue is where we sense the taste of bitterness. Now, some scientists actually believe that the location of these bitter taste buds is actually an evolutionary development. In other words, early humans who had their bitter taste buds placed back there were better able to survive. If you think of the early culture of man, we were hunter-gatherers, and one of the ways that we would figure out if we liked something or not was to taste it. Well, it turns out that a lot of the especially plant materials that are poisonous to us have a bitter taste. And if you think about it, if you taste something bitter, your first instinct is to spit it out. So by putting the bitter taste buds there towards the back of the tongue, it actually it's kind of the last gasp of, don't swallow this. This is something that is going to hurt you. It also gives it less chance. I mean, you probably have done this before. You toss something in your mouth and you throw it way to the back, and you miss these areas here. It gives less chance of that flavor, so to speak, getting missed by those areas. Now, these ones back here, these that I have circled, that are lined up back here, are sense what we call umami. Umami is a very distinct flavor that's found in especially in Asian food and Asian cooking. It's one of those things you can't really describe, and if I say umami, you're not going to understand what that means, versus sour or sweet or salty. What we may try to do this week is do a taste test. We have some common foods that are made both with umami and without umami, so we can kind of taste the difference, and the difference that you're going to be tasting is going to be that umami flavor. The other receptors that we have here at the very base of the tongue, now remember this is way back down, actually kind of down your throat a little bit, is your water sensors. This is what actually helps to trigger our thirst mechanism, and it also is what gets satiated when we do drink water or other liquids. Now, on the tongue, we actually have two different types of taste buds. If you stick out your tongue, the ones you are going to see are the ones that are up front in here. They're just little bumps. They almost look like little mushrooms, and those are called the fungiform papillae. They function exactly the same as the other ones, which are called the circumvallate papillae. And you can see the circumvallates, they are circles. So if that helps you remember them, that's a great thing. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to take one of those circumvallate papillae, and we're going to take a look at what's going on inside the taste bud itself. Alright, so inside the circumvallate papillae, actually buried down, there's these channels that run down them. We have the taste bud. And so then this is a blow up here of what your taste buds actually look like. The taste bud is actually a sandwiching layer of supporting cells. Okay, these are supporting cells that actually can redivide, and gustatory cells. These are the ones that actually trigger your sense of taste. Sticking out from the gustatory cells are things that we call taste hairs. And then we also have this little gap down at the bottom here, the taste pore. The taste hairs and the taste pore actually trap your saliva with the different food molecules in it that trigger our sense of taste. Alright, so I'm going to switch back over now to the PowerPoint. Okay, so this is actually our taste pathway. So this is what happens when we actually taste flavors. Okay, so the first thing that has to happen is the food mixes with our saliva in the mouth while we chew on it. just like in the nose with our sense of smell, we have to have the molecules that generate our taste sensations dissolved. They cannot be just, undissolved. They can't be solid. In fact, if our tongue was dry, we actually wouldn't taste anything at all. So we have to actually have these molecules dissolve into the saliva. What they do is after they dissolve in the saliva, they bind to the receptor sites on the taste hairs. And when they bind to those receptor sites, remember these are nerve cells, they actually generate an action potential in the gustatory cell. And if you look off the back of the gustatory cells in your diagram, that you'll see that there's actually looks like little threads coming off of the back. Those are actually sensory neurons that they synapse with, and the information is then sent to the central nervous system. Now, your sense of taste as a human is actually pretty weak. Our sense of smell is actually much stronger. So we can actually influence what we are tasting by what we smell. If we use both, and that we're smelling and tasting the same thing, the sensitivity of taste is actually greatly increased. And again, we may try this in the lab. I haven't quite decided yet, but you can actually smell something else, something that has a very strong smell like an orange, and taste something completely different, and you'll actually think that you're tasting an orange when in fact you're not. It's kind of a little trick that you can play with your mind, because it is influenced so much by your sense of smell. All right, so what we're going to pick up with next is vision. And vision is obviously a lot more complicated. We rely a lot on our sense of vision as humans, so it's a little bit longer of a section, but this is all that we have for both taste and for smell.